Greetings to all SMEs, sales and marketing professionals. This week's bulletin contains some news items especially hand-picked for professionals like yourself. Alright. Before speaking another word, may I introduce myself as Madam Sophia, a virtual assistant to CTM Joseph NG, your sales and marketing e-coach and e-mentor. Without delay, here is a breaking news. Breaking news. Business owners seek to restart after being hit by pandemic. Balik Pulau, after seeing his family business affected by the pandemic for more than a year, vegetarian cafe owner Fong Wei Heng hopes that the government will provide more aid or subsidies for the local food industry. The rising cost of raw materials needs to be addressed in order to revive the food industry. Raw ingredients such as cooking oil have seen much increase in price from about Rm20 to about Rm30 now for a 5 kilograms bottle. It is a burden, especially for people like us who are reopening our business during the National Recovery Plan. Minus my staff salary, I'm actually left with hardly any profit. This is the first vegetarian outlet there to serve the community, said Fong, 34, who took over the 20-year-old family business recently. Echoing Fong's sentiment was drinks seller Stella Koo, who prefers a one-off payout from the government help sustain her business. My monthly rental comes up to about Rm3,000, including utility bills. Several food hawkers at my place are struggling to make ends meet. Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz had earlier said the upcoming budget 2022, which will be tabled tomorrow, would focus on speeding up recovery, strengthening economic resilience, and catalyzing reform. Mechanic Muhammad Hafiz Swiat said he hoped the government would allocate funds to promote and develop the motorsports industry. The 38-year-old, who specializes in modifying and tuning performance bikes, said there was no proper racetrack in Penang despite the availability of many local talents here. The industry has been severely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. With the reopening of state borders, economic and social activities, I'm seeing a return of customers, he said. Source: The Star Papers. The 21st of October 2021 PS. Are you happy with this breaking news? Personally, I believe it's a big yes. Truly, it's a silver lining in a dark cloud. Trust me, if and when the government give these financial assistance, small business will flourish better. Before we part company, may I introduce my colleague Madam Florence, the other virtual assistant to CTM Joseph. She will present a free chapter of the book, How to Close Every Sales and Every Time. Until we meet again, may I wish you goodbye and happy selling. Thanks. Chapter 12: The Relevant Story. Close quote. Use the best story that you have come across, the one which proves that what you are selling has been of the greatest benefit to another individual, another firm, or a number of people. By Alfred Tack in his book, Sell Your Way to Success. As we are almost halfway of this book on closing every sales and every time, it is fitting to introduce yet another chapter. This relevant story close chapter can be best applied when the prospect is hemming and hawing, and they are not sure of going or not going ahead. When faced with such a situation, you simply say, Mr. Prospect, I understand your hesitation. It reminds me of someone else that bought this product a couple of months ago. It's an interesting story. Remember that people like to hear story. And then you tell a story about a person who hesitated about buying a product or service and then decided to go ahead and get it. Later on, this is what happened to them. You then relate these sentences. How fortunate they were. How happy they were. How good it was that they made that decision. By the way, let's pause a while and consider this quote to help reinforce what has said earlier. Alright. Thanks. A testimonial close, gathers also called an anecdotal or case history close that have evidence to support your claim. This helps to ease a client's fear of making error. These closes let the client that, if Joe of ABC like it must be okay, by Art Linkletter. Now that you have read the priceless quotation by a world's famous sales trainer, are you ready to continue? Hence, believe me, you can tell a story about a person who hesitate to buy the product or service. In truth, this is what actually happened to them as a result. Really. No jokes. From my experience in the marketplace, I can vouch for this incidence. As a result of not buying the product or services, this is what happened. It cost them this, and later on, they came back, and they said, boy, I wish I have bought this the first time around. Either one of these will work. Especially a story that emphasizes how happy a previous customer was because they made the decision. That said, let's scroll down to the important summary. Summary. Not to sound like a broken record, let me distill the entire chapter in a few sentences. Okay. For starters, do recall the words of Alfred Tack in his book, Sell Your Way to Success. Next, be reminded the relevant story close is ideally applied when your prospects are not sure of going or not going ahead to buy. Another fact which must repeated at all cost is that prospects love to hear stories, especially about how some customers bought from you, and they are happy. Finally, do recall this fact that customers sometimes regret for not buying the first time. As we about to close the chapter, some words must be mentioned here. Conclusion. Therefore, to conclude on the relevant story close, I cannot overstress the truth that this form of closing is one of the best. Or maybe the best, if I may say so myself. You ask, why? Simply at a best form of closing with the resistance from your prospect. Trust me, in my years of closing of sales and selling big ticket items, it is best applied. This story is ideally used with the prospect's associates or even competitors. In truth, if you have not used such a closing method, I strongly advise to use this closing method. You can have my guarantee it will work. To wrap up this chapter, I hope you have gained more and better knowledge before reading this chapter. Agree or not? Thanks a million. Hope to see you in the next chapter. End of chapter 12.